and then to ask yourself a fateful question. What if I'm wrong? That question can be terrifying, but it can also be healing. What if we're wrong about a vengeful, punishing, cruel God? What if we're wrong about God's anger and fury toward us? What if we're wrong? What if my way of worshiping God or understanding God isn't the only story? What if God is even better than we could have imagined? There is freedom in questions. Rachel went ahead of us and left a path for us to follow. As she writes, God's ways are higher than our ways, not because he is less compassionate than we are, but because he is more compassionate than we can ever imagine. Rachel lived her life fully within that compassionate love, and she is held in that love now. She lived her questions well, and she never lost her love for telling the story. Now that we have to somehow live in a world without Rachel, I'm more grateful than I can express for every single word she wrote down for us, a trail of breadcrumbs straight to the generous, inclusive, loving house of God. Sarah Bessey, author of Jesus Feminist and Miracles and Other Reasonable Things.
Introduction. Why I am an evolutionist. Monkeys make me nervous. Whenever I hear about chimpanzees solving math problems, or Coco the gorilla using sign language to order her breakfast, I feel inexplicably threatened by their human-like qualities and intelligence. I do my best to avoid the monkey exhibits at zoos and those creepy Diane Fossey documentaries on Animal Planet. When I traveled through the Himalayan foothills of India, where wild macaques climbed all over the bridges and power lines, one monkey in particular looked incredulously at my camera bag and then at me, as if to ask, "Who do you think you are, lugging that fancy equipment all over a country where half the population hasn't got enough food to eat?" Perhaps I read into it a bit, but I could have sworn he then turned and whispered something to his friend, who rolled his eyes at me in disgust. After that, I kept a closer eye on my camera. I suppose my monkey phobia has something to do with the sneaking suspicion that maybe the biologists are right after all. Maybe man and ape share a common ancestor, and that explains our eerie similarities. It's a bit disconcerting to think of modern humans arriving so late to the evolutionary scene, of God taking millions upon millions of years to get to the point. Such a scenario certainly does a number on one's pride and calls into question the notion of being created in the image of God. To make matters worse, somewhere along the way, I was told that belief in evolutionary theory and belief in a personal loving creator are mutually exclusive, that if the Bible cannot be trusted to accurately explain the origins of life, it cannot be trusted for anything at all, and the Christian faith is lost. Commitment to a literal six-day creation with the formation of Adam and Eve at its climax held such fundamental significance to my young faith that I spent the first 20 years of my life scribbling words like debatable and unlikely in the margins of science books. I guess whenever some sly little monkey tries to undo it all with a knowing smile, I get a bit anxious. Charles Darwin claimed that the survival or extinction of an organism is determined by its ability to adapt to its environment. Failure to adapt explains why woolly mammoths didn't survive the end of the Ice Age, and why we get pigeon poop stuck on our windshields instead of dodo poop. I'm still not sure what to make of evolution. Scientists have perfectly good evidence to support it, while theologians have good biblical and philosophical reasons to be wary of its implications. However, I have a feeling that if Darwin turns out to be right, the Christian faith won't fall apart after all. Faith is more resilient than that. Like a living organism, it has a remarkable ability to adapt to change. At our best, Christians embrace this quality, leaving enough space within orthodoxy for God to surprise us every now and then. At our worst, we kick and scream our way through each and every change, burning books and bridges and even people along the way. But if we can adjust to Galileo's universe, we can adjust to Darwin's biology, even the part about the monkeys. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that faith can survive just about anything, so long as it's able to evolve. I used to be a fundamentalist, not the Teletubby-hating, apocalypse-ready, Jerry Falwell type of fundamentalist, but the kind who thinks that God is pretty much figured out already, that he's done telling us anything new. I was a fundamentalist in the sense that I thought salvation means having the right opinions about God, and that fighting the good fight of faith requires defending those opinions at all costs. I was a fundamentalist because my security and self-worth and sense of purpose in life were all wrapped up in getting God right, in believing the right things about him, saying the right things about him, and convincing others to embrace the right things about him too. Good Christians, I believed, don't succumb to the